Welcome everybody. I wanted to invite you guys on another recording that is about my healing journey. The topic that I'm going to share with you today is how my emotional healing showed up in my physical body. Waking up with no pain for the first time, y'all. I used to have certain pain, physical pain in my body for about 2 years now. And waking up with no pain for the first time in a very long time and realizing that it wasn't just physical. It was connected to my healing journey. So the other morning, I'll give you guys in context, the other morning I got out of bed and noticed something different. My lower back wasn't hurting. It wasn't. It wasn't hurting. My hips weren't tight. And for a minute, I was like, wait, what changed? You ever nursed something for a long time, or nursed your wound or nursed your pain for a long time, and then all of a sudden it changes? I thought maybe it was the weight I've lost, because I've lost some pounds since switching over to CrossFit. Maybe it was the foam roller that I had been doing. Maybe it was the stretching that I was doing. Maybe it was the better sleep or the consistency with movement. And don't get me wrong, all of that played a role. But the more I sat with it, the more something clicked. My physical body was reflecting the work I've been doing internally. Because when I look back, the shift started before the pain went away. That's a word for somebody. So the shift that you're taking, the work that you are doing, is not in vain. You have to become in alignment and still choose to stay in alignment, right? As if the pain is gone. Choosing to shift. I can't promise when, but when you make the decision, the choice to choose, every time you choose the highest good in your life, every time you choose to trust God and follow God, the effects of that, the benefits of that, is that what you carried in your own strength no longer becomes a part of your shield. And so you surrender the former sense of strength over to God. Because in truth, in actuality, that's something you're going to have to maintain. Whatever it is, you're going to have to decide. So you choose what you decide. So what I mean by that is you can decide to lean into your own strength, lean into your own holding into the pain that you've carried all your life. You can validate that, hold on to that, carry that, allow that to lead you, allow that to be your fuel, right? And you can choose that. You can choose that. And that's something that you would have to upkeep to keep that. And you can allow your body to trick you, to make you thinking that you're doing a good job. And you can stay in survival mode. You can choose that. And then there is another side of us where we can choose God. We can choose our highest level of self. We can choose God's way. And we can step into uncertainty. And we can let go of all the tricks and tools that we've used to keep us surviving. And we can choose God. Either way is going to require maintenance. It's going to require a decision. It's going to require you to choose. You decide what you're going to choose. I know what it feels like to walk in your own strength. I know what it feels like to feel as if your normalcy is keeping your head above water. I know what it feels like to be your own sense of safety. I know what it feels like to make agreements within yourself to say, I will protect you. I know what that feels like. That has carried me, so I thought. And I also had God speaking to me. So there was a tug of war. I shifted to a level of full surrender and full, God, you can have this. I struggle with holding on every day. But at the end of this frustration, I choose to give it to you. So when I look back, the shift started before the pain went away. I used to work out, as you know, you guys, if you guys have seen my timeline a few years back, not too long ago, I used to work out at this other exercise place, exercise class, had an amazing trainer, lost a ton of weight. And still I was in survival mode. God was with me. God was pruning me. God was showing me who I was. And still I was still in survival mode at the same time. I was pushing through everything, pushing through my emotions, my exhaustion. I was pushing through the pressure. I was pushing through expectations, all of it. Then God told me that my chapter in that space was over. So I was pushing through the pain. I was pushing through the pressure. I was pushing through how I thought it was supposed to look, what I thought it was supposed to look like, my life. All of it, I had to release and surrender over to God. So like I said, God told me, even before entering into that place, God told me that I was only there for a season. So when God told me that my chapter was over in that space, I left. And then I rested for about a year. And at that time, I didn't realize that that rest was actually part of my healing. Some of y'all need to rest. And I know that that's hard. Because resting requires losing control. Now hear me good. You know when God is calling you to rest. I believe that God calls us to rest in all seasons. Yes, there's a time of working. There's a time of plowing at the mill. But God doesn't want you operating from a restless heart. God doesn't want you operating from a place of still bitterness or still holding on to pain or even still feeling that you have to do everything on your own. God doesn't want you operating from that place or that space. I didn't realize that rest was actually a part of my healing. Eventually, I felt the nudge to get back into movement. So I eased back into it. I joined this Pilates class. And then I was like, okay, I think I need something that a little bit more high intensity, like it was before, but just, a different place to work out in. Like I said, I felt the nudge to get back into movement, but not in the same place that I was in and not in that survival space that I was in, because I was no longer there anymore in that chapter. What I used, the tools that I used then were the tools that were needed then. The resting that I did afterwards was God. I felt that it was me getting even closer to God. And not only that, but it also was a process of learning to trust God's voice when he said, rest and be still. To trust God's voice, period. And I saw God through the whole journey. Everything that God was speaking to me, I saw things come to pass with my own eyes. So I knew I had to stick with what God was telling me, even though I fight it every day. I knew the truth, and you know the truth. Decide what you're going to do with that flesh. Decide how you're going to allow it to become a servant, surrendering to God. Decide. You decide. You know you. You know you. God, I tell God every day, every moment. You know the hymnal, I need thee, oh, I need thee every hour. I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee. Sometimes you need that every hour type of thing, you know? So as I share with you, I felt the nudge to go back into movement, right? So I joined CrossFit. I didn't even know about like a CrossFit. I was like, what is this? I seen it. My understanding of CrossFit was like, these, professional weightlifters. And then I soon found out it was similar to what I was doing before. It just was a little bit more weightlifting. So I joined just to get healthier again. Really, and I knew that I was in a different space. That time that I had rested, I knew that I was in a different space. And I knew that things had shifted in me. This time, when I joined a fitness establishment, I wasn't doing it out of survival mode, or fear, or that raw place that I was in. I did it because something inside of me shifted. CrossFit was a match for the new version of me, not the wounded one. It was a newer version of me. Sometimes certain spaces in our life we need, right? There's a season and everything. And sometimes when God tells you to move, it's really not necessarily about really kind of what that place represented, even though there's a part of understanding that there are certain places and spaces that served you for a certain period of time. But what it really spoke to me was I really going to follow and obey God's voice, obey God's leading? Reflections. When it hit me, the realization of the pain that was in my body, the hip, the lower back, the pelvis, these were the places that held my emotional weight. The hips, the lower back, the pelvis. These were the places that held my emotional weight. It held my emotional weight. What are you holding in your body? And what season are you in? What is God calling you to do? What nudge are you feeling? What is your body speaking and saying? Have you ignored it? Have you suppressed it and kept going because that's all you know? Don't ignore your body. The signs are there for you to listen. Don't wait until you are forced to listen. So, as I share with you where the emotional weight lied in my body, the emotional weight was fear. survival mode, old wounds, identity, old identity that, isn't who God says I am, but whether, who I learned how I learned to be in this world, your sense of ego, that identity I was holding on to. I was holding on to emotional pain in my relationships. All of it sits in your body, and all of it sat in my body. So as I've been healing emotionally and spiritually, letting God lead me, letting go of old patterns, learning how to trust myself again. And I mean, trust your intuitive guide again. Choosing. Remember when I talked about that? My body finally released it too. That's why I woke up without pain. Sometimes, I believe not even sometimes, all the time, God wants to do it for you. But the biggest thing that gets in our way of adhering to that is our own strength, our own fear, our own sense of, I want to hold on to this. What we think makes sense. And sometimes we're holding on and keeping it, and it becomes a cycle that God wants you to give to Him. And guess what? Just like I struggle with it every day, I still choose God every day. When I would do good, evil is always present, right? I still choose. And that's the power and sovereignty that you have, is to still choose. I'm like, well, why does it keep hanging around? It's just a part of our identity. It's the part of us that has, we have learned how to be in this world or how to survive. And so it's not so much of getting rid of that part of you, but understanding that part of you and relying on God, choosing God's way, giving whatever that it is. I surrender that. You know what? I can't hold that. As enticing as I feel, as that may seem like I'm protecting myself, I can't hold that. As big as that might seem, as I might think that I'm strong, but I'm not. I can't hold that. And the illusion of the ego will allow you to believe that. The illusion or the trick of your body, when it's not in submission and surrender to God, will allow you to believe that you're the one leading your life, that you're the one that has control over your life. That is not true. You have control over, I have found that to not be true. Yes, you have the power of choice, but saying that you have control over your life, no. But surrendering control, surrendering the fight in you that wants to keep you stuck in the past, that wants to keep you in fear, that wants to keep your body holding on to this stuff. Because the trick of, like I said, the trick of the flesh or the trick of the ego will have you thinking, if I hold on to this, then I'll be protected. And so it's getting to know that part of you, not getting rid of it, not suppressing it, because we can't. We can't get rid of it. We can't suppress it. Like this is, I had my sense of, like my ego or my sense of identity. I put on the makeup. I make myself look presentable, right? But like your spirit is your spirit, right? So it's not necessarily tied to how you look or, what your physical attributes should look like, right? That's our flesh side. And it's simply about being mindful and being self-aware, right? We don't want to walk around looking crazy, right? And so it's understanding that healthy balance of knowing, okay, yeah, I need to wash my hair. Yeah, I want to look presentable. Yes, I, want certain things about myself that looks presentable. Absolutely. Don't be, sometimes I think some people can be so deep that it's like, it says you're so heaven bound that you're no earthly good, and it's like you can allow having balance is key, but knowing that part of you and knowing when you are inviting God in every aspect of you. When you are inviting God in every aspect of you, you become aware of the sovereignty of yourself. You become aware of really a higher power that lives within you, that is guiding you, that loves you, that wants to show you who he is in your life, in you and through you, in every aspect of you. I don't think that my body would have released the pain and the things that I was holding in my body had I leaned into my own understanding. I don't think that the pain that was in my body that I was holding emotionally would have left had I leaned into my own understanding and stayed in the same place that I was before when God told me to move. I don't think, what I'm saying is when you don't follow God's voice or when you don't choose God, there are certain things that happens in the future down the line that in choosing God, you will see the benefits of that. But when you lean into your own understanding through the 3D, when you lean into what you think, when you allow that part of you, the wounded part of you, or the shadow part of you to lead you, you will see that it will keep you in the same cycle, thinking that you're winning, but you're not. And so it's a level of submission and also a level of balance. Do you hear me? So in closing, I want to share this with you. Your healing journey is never just internal. Okay? The body feels everything. And when your heart shifts, your body shifts too. When your heart shifts, your body shifts too. When your heart, God, I give this to you. I can't do this. This is too heavy. I can't do this in my own strength. God, I give this to you. That's what he wants. So if you're healing right now and things are changing, don't be surprised if your body starts letting go too. Because everything is connected. I want to hear from you. And I hope that this message helps you. If you think this message will help someone else, please like and share. And that's all I got. Till next time.